Hello, Janksters, and welcome to another edition of the MagicJank podcast, the show where members of Team MagicJank get together and we talk about magical gatherings. And we oftentimes have a plan, we have a focus, we have an intent, and then we get sidetracked and talk about whatever's on our mind. But it's always about magic. So that's going to be fun. My name is Graham. I go by HamHogs42, and we've got a full crew today. We got a nice chonky pod for you, which I'm very much looking forward to. And that's the last time I'm going to refer to it as a chonky pod, I promise.
I mean, you aren't wrong.
I was going to say, it is what it is, man.
Like that's like comparing us to Thumberchod, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone's favorite chonky boy. So let's go around the horn, starting with the one and only CarloMTG. Carlo, how's it going, man? Welcome.
Oh, yeah. What up, everybody? I'm very, very happy to be back to do some yapping about Magic.
Sweet. And then we also have the MTG FilthyCasuals. We have them both in the house, starting with Jen. Hello, Jen. How's it going?
Hi, it's going good. I'm excited to be here.
Oh my goodness, we're excited to have you. And then, of course, where there's Jen, there's often Donnie. And today, and here's no exception. Hey, Donnie, what's up, man?
He just follows me. I can't seem to get rid of him.
Super excited to be back. Man, this set, so much good stuff. And I really wanted to be kind of meh on Turtles,
Right.
because the whole UB thing and blah, 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 blah. But god damn, there is something for everybody in this set. I think that's the greatest thing about it.
It's true.
I can agree with that, actually. And that's when people ask, like, oh, how do you feel about it? It's like, it exceeded expectations. No matter what else, it definitely did that, and that's fantastic. Thankfully, Spider-Man set those expectations pretty darn low. So, so there's that. Anyway.
That's true, yeah.
Nice cold take there. So today we are going to be talking about Ninja Turtles quite a bit, because that's where we're kind of knee deep in it right now. So we definitely want to dive into that, and we are going to be talking about it with a perspective of Commander, because when you have the Filthy Casuals in the house, you talk Commander. But I also wanted to talk about the competitive formats as well. Carlo, I know you've been very busy right now doing some Boros Dragon action out there, like in IRL. Like apparently people play Standard like in paper. I don't know if that's. I hear that's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Allegedly.
it is very, very interesting. I am thinking back to maybe the last time I got a chance to sit down and do a podcast episode here. It was probably before Spotlight Series Lorwyn Eclipsed, which was in Toronto, and it was limited. And when I tell you, face-to-face games put on the best Spotlight Series I've probably ever been to, period. It sold out, limited, 1,500 seats. They opened 300 more seats and then capped that out. So 1,800 people showed up to play limited. That was Lorwyn Eclipse Limited. Very, very popular, the best event. And then I showed up to Richmond a day early, right? I drove down on the Friday to play Standard. And at the end of the day, I think at day one, there was like 600 and some odd players registered. So literally a third of the Spotlight Series in Toronto. And, I attribute that to a few reasons. Because number one, Standard is really good right now, right? Like we're talking about a time where we were all like pissed off about like VV Standard like ruining RCQ seasons, but like this Standard format is very diverse. And unfortunately, I think it's like catching strays for people being upset about Universes Beyond and or some, in my opinion, feel free to flame me in the comments, but undue hate on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The set is very good, even though it is a small set. There are lots of powerful cards in it that are just like itching to be played. And we'll probably dive into this, but Standard is a very high-powered format right now where you have to do something in the first 4 turns of the game, because if you don't, you're very behind. And, we were all just like chatting a little bit before starting to hit the record button, and it's facts, right? Standard feels very fast, and it is very high powered, kind of like old school Modern. And it's true, the cards are just at that power level. But Standard right now is the most diverse that it's been in the last few years in terms of decks that are playable in the format. It's just that many decks are very high powered. So I recently won an RCQ playing Jeskai control. So I get to go to the regional championship in May, which is very fun.
Let's go.
And that's
Congrats.
because I always tell
Yeah.
folks, take the deck you're most comfortable playing with, even if it's not the best deck in the room, right? Because whatever you feel most comfortable with, you will just play with better.
Yeah.
You know your lines of play. So yeah, I did that, and I looked at the metagame, what was the supposed metagame breakdown, and I'm like, man, my deck is really weak to mono green landfall and Dimir midrange. And I expected a lot of that in Richmond. So instead I took Boros Dragons, right? So didn't play any Ninja Turtle cards. I did test Go Ninja Go for reference.
Oh.
Go Ninja Go is an uncommon sorcery. It costs 1 red and a white. And it says choose one or both. You can either have your creature or creature of yours with the highest power deal damage to another creature that your opponent has, and or you essentially can blink out one of your creatures. But you can choose both. Ultimately, after testing a lot with this card, the Boros Dragons deck plays 3 copies of Cavernous Souls and 4 Maelstrom of the Spirit Dragon, which is the dragon land from Tarkir. So you can't cast this card early at all. So just because it's hard to cast it off actual mana that's not dragon related, I took it out of the deck. And so didn't end up playing with that in the end of the day. But there was many
Makes
decks
sense.
that do. And there's a current Jeskai Blink deck that does play this card in Standard, and it's very powerful. Turns out if you can like warp a Quantum Riddler in on 2, cast Go Ninja Go, blow up your opponent's creature, re-blink the Quantum Riddler into play, it's pretty powerful, right? Among
good.
other things. There are other things you can do that with, like Shiko from Tarkir Dragonstorm. So so I show up on day 1 of Richmond. With this Boros Dragons list, it is closed deck list, which means nobody knows the 75 that you are playing, which is
Nice.
how all Magic tournaments should be, by the way. And that way I can hide my spice at all times. And I look at the metagame breakdown graphic that Star City Games put out. Boros Dragons isn't within like the top 10 decks that folks submitted to play in the event. So I get like super nervous, right? I'm like, oh no, like did I actually show up to this tournament with the wrong deck? Anyway,
Or were you
end
the
up
only one with
going-
the right one? That's the
right. So I end up going 6-3 on day 1. So I qualified to play in day 2. I look at the day 2 graphic. I am the only player on Boros Dragons in day 2 of this event.
Let's go.
Right? I'm like, this is incredible. But now it's open deck list on day 2. So you have to hand your deck list to your opponent, who can see everything you have in your deck before a decision's made when you roll a die to choose who's playing first. Now, at the regional championships, they do this, right? Everything is always open deck list, so you can't really play any spice. But what I find in open deck list tournaments is that people play like random one-ofs that you wouldn't normally play in your 75 or something like that.
Just play some mind games. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. So I ended up, at the end of the day, I was 8-6-1. I drew in round 15 because I couldn't place in the top 64, and top 128 got you a foil Super Shredder, like special promo card. So they gave everybody this special Super Shredder non-foil for playing in the event. So that means there's only 600 and some odd that are out there, because it's equal to the amount of people that played in the event. And then there's only 128 foil versions of this card. So I drew with my opponent in the last round to sort of just like lock in that we got something. Because I think the foil promo card is worth more than the payout for top 64. So I'm like, there's no way I'm passing this up. And I like say to my opponent, I'm like, there's no way we're both gonna like try to knock one of us out of free money, right? And he's like, no. So we just like drew, and I'm like, let's just like lock it in, you know?
See, the intentional draw thing seems kind of silly sometimes, but that is just like, I don't know. I have no problem with that. That actually seems like a nice kind of sporting way to handle it. Yeah.
Like I was going to say, it's like good sportsmanship, right?
Right.
Yes. Like if you said to me, oh, there could be better benefit if I play in one, could I technically win more money? Yes, then maybe like anybody would consider playing that, right? But if there's like a
Right.
guarantee for both players and it doesn't matter, we're not like, it's not a matter of if we're moving on in the event, just
Mhm.
both leave with something and be happy, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
So it was a fun time. Richmond was a fun time. I got to see lots of friends there. Lots of viewers that ended up showing up, like people who are always in my Twitch chat. So I'm like, oh hey, like I got to meet a couple people
Nice.
in person for the first time. Some of our Canadian friends made their way down to Richmond, so I got to see them again after a month of the spotlight that was in Toronto. And so yeah, we're currently in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Standard. There are lots of sweet cards out there. I am playing in another RCQ tomorrow, and I am not playing Boros Dragons. Instead, I will be playing Boros Alliance, which does have cards from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in it.
Nice.
Specifically, 2-mana Raphael, which is a common card, which says your opponent takes damage every time a creature enters the battlefield. Yeah, that card is really good. I had lots of fun playing with it in the streamer event. We were trying some lists out with it. Turns out there is a creature in Tarkir that does the same thing, except it's a 1/3 reach. So they are just impact tremors on creatures. Also turns out if you pair out these cards with O'Hare Oxenil from Lost Caverns of Ixalan, you just get to deal 4 damage for each of these pings, which is fantastic. It's playable. It's a 4-mana card in Standard. And War Leader's Call from Karlov Manor is an impact tremors plus an anthem for your creatures. So I get to play cards like Voice of Victory and Stadium Headliner, Fanatical Firebrand, just things that are going to get me 1/1 tokens when I attack, and it's going to trigger all of those things, and your opponent might die from pings before we even get to combat damage. So I'm going to be playing a little bit more aggressive this week. It's kind of like I'm playing in an event that I know I can't go to the second RC. I can only go to one of them, but one of my friends really wanted to play in this event, so I'm going to try to knock people out to help them get an invite type of a thing.
Nice.
What better way to do it than pinging them, you know?
Do the shake and bake, right? Just, set up the screen for them so they can get there. I love it.
That's it. But sort of to end on like the Standard note, you know, Standard is very, very diverse. We're talking about, you know, 10 decks is a mix of like tier 1 and tier 2, with like the greatest percentage of the metagame share not really being greater than like 12% for any given deck, compared to VV Standard that was 25 to 35% of people playing the VV deck. Right. So it is a significantly different ball game now. I think my biggest criticism of Standard, and it will continue, is that there are too many sets in this format. You know, that's a much longer conversation to have, the amount of sets that are being printed per year. You know, I understand still the need for there to be a 3-year Standard because you want players to play with their cards longer. That idea makes sense to me. We just need less sets, right?
Yes.
I think when Standard becomes at its penultimate stage before rotation will eventually happen in 2027, because they rotate on a yearly basis now, we'll have 21 sets in Standard. 21.
That's insane.
That's wild.
I mean, when Pioneer was first conceived, didn't have like 28 or something like it wasn't that much. Like oh my goodness,
that's right. That's right. So
shocking.
Imagine what this does to other competitive formats. Right, where Pioneer is now having 7 new sets a year being put into that format. Granted, that's not being managed correctly, and it's not really being played on a competitive scale at the moment. But you know, just like you know, Carmen and Jadine said when they gave that ban announcement about VV, they said there are too many sets in Standard for us to possibly test all of the cards together and catch mistakes. And until they stop, but they won't, making this many sets a year that are Standard legal, you know, we're going to continue to have this problem. In a perfect world for me, in a perfect world for me, I think a good consolidation would be to have 15 total sets in Standard, 5 Standard sets a year. If you want to create non-standard product, totally fine, do that. But where we are, like even us, like in the creator space, okay, we only had it was 7 weeks between Lorwyn and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle release. And that's because they made that 7 standard set. They threw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in there. So in a 4-month period, we have 3 sets that enter standard. So 7 sets to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 7 weeks. Same thing, 7 weeks to Strixhaven, right?
Mhm.
You reduce the amount of time that we have to play with these cards, and it's not allowing you to highlight the cards like from those sets anymore. Like, not for nothing, but nobody has mentioned the card Hexene Squelcher to me in weeks. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I only saw
That was
I only
hot.
saw Hex.
Yeah.
I only heard everything about Hexene Squelcher the moment it was previewed for Lorwyn Eclipse, and I haven't heard a peep since. Right? One, because it hasn't really made a splash in Standard, and I guess it's not really doing that much in Commander right now, because we moved from Hexene Squelcher to April O'Neil in 7 weeks, right? Not saying April O'Neil is a playable card or one of the versions are, but just in comparison, right? We've just started talking about the new cards so much faster that we forget about cards that came out less than 2 months ago, right?
Right.
So, and I know that this is definitely like, it's not just me, someone who's primarily in the standard space, but even Commander players too. You can't enjoy the new legends, even though we've been given 100 of them per set, when I've got to talk about new legends that are being previewed 3 months in advance. You know, it's just, in order to stay like on topic and on key with everything that's going on, we're just moving too fast.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so I think it's partially like that fatigue that the audience then is seeing. Because if we're experiencing that as creators, then the audience who is viewing the content seems to view it at a more negative pace. But the people who get like yiped at about it is like the creators who are producing the content to stay relevant, not somebody else. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is also the point in the broadcast where I do feel the need to address an elephant in the room that maybe I'm the only one who sees. But listeners out there, you may note, like, well, yeah, they didn't really talk about Lorwyn all that much. That was because of some scheduling challenges, and just that was 100% my fault, for the record. I'm gonna own that. We missed a couple weeks just because trying to get some scheduling things just didn't quite line up, and it was challenging. And so as a result, like, I feel like we missed like 2 or 3, weeks of episodes, and as a result, we barely talked about Lorwyn. Like, it just, that's all it takes, is you just miss a couple, and the window's gone, and that stinks. So if there are cool cards from Lorwyn you guys want to talk about, please don't hesitate to bring them up. And it's funny. Today I was doing some Sell Me This Card shorts and just kind of catching up, and like I had a moment of like, oh, this card was like one of my favorites in Lorwyn. I'm sure I talked about it during preview season, and then went back and realized like, no, it just never made the cut out of like any of the shorts I made. So I was like, oh, so yeah, heads up, there's going to be a Dorian Besieged by Time short coming soon. I know it's not timely. I don't care. I want to talk about that card. So
There you go.
Fair.
That's right.
And as we talk today, so at the time of recording, folks, this is the 14th of March. The pre-release of Secrets of Strixhaven is April 24th, so it's literally a month from now, right? So that means the streamer event is on the 22nd or something. That's the Wednesday of that week. Then the 24th, 25th, 26th is pre-release week. Releases on Arena that following Tuesday. So we're talking about like such a fast time frame. We're probably a week or 2 out technically from official preview season.
Yeah, something like that.
True.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that I find fascinating about all of this is we're talking about all these sets coming out and all this discussion, but at the same time, by virtue of Standard rotating so slowly compared to how it has before, we started this conversation with you talking about the competitive viability of a War Leader's Call and O'Hare, Oxenil. Like, these are cards that made waves when they first came out now, like 2 years ago. And for some reason, the meta has shifted in such a way and the right support pieces have shown up. And so all of a sudden, these are now competitively viable. That's awesome. Like, I feel like we need to harp on that a little bit too. Like, just because there are always new cards to be talking about doesn't mean that that's all that's happening. And I think that's fantastic. And we need to celebrate some of the older stuff too. And so I guess this is me speaking on behalf of, I'm giving myself permission to talk about older cards, because I feel like we need to push it back on feeling pressure of only talking about the new stuff. Because if that's all we talked about, that's all anyone would ever talk about. There's so much new stuff. So, yeah,
It's true.
So yeah, With that, let's talk about new stuff. Anyway, but no, Carlo, thank you for that breakdown. Oh, and Donnie, what's up?
So yeah, we can talk about new stuff, but at the same time, we can talk about old stuff. Especially with turtles. There is so many things in turtles that fit in everything that has come before them.
Oh my goodness, yes.
There's amazing support for earlier we were talking about Spider-Ham.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Because of all of the new creature types that are in Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, spiders, boars, bats, bears, birds, cats, dogs, frogs, jackals, lizards, mice, otters, rabbits, raccoons, rats, squirrels, turtles, and wolves.
Oh my! What?
Like this card has support for all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you didn't have a reason to play Spider-Ham before, if this card was not on your radar, and you're a typo player, this card should be on your radar now. And the cool thing is it's 25 cents or something. Like it's not an expensive card. Anybody can go out and grab one and throw it in their deck and automatically get a boost from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think with Turtles, there's a lot of stuff like that in there that because it's a small set and because we're in such a short window, a lot of this stuff we might not talk about again for 6 months or 8 months to a year. But these cards that we're seeing right now, they're going to be super relative going forward.
And who doesn't love +1/+1 counters, right? +1/+1's great.
Especially in mono green. Come on.
Yeah, just last night, even in standard, I do viewer brews often, and so somebody came by and submitted a Naya +1/+1 counters deck.
Ooh.
Of course, the deck had Badgermole Cub and Ouroboros because those cards are insanely powerful. But it was taking advantage of Michelangelo weirdness to 11 or something, whatever that card's called, and which basically is hardened scales on a creature, right? It's a 1/1, says whenever a counter would be put on a creature, adds that many +1 essentially. And plus it makes a mutagen token. So either way, like the next turn, if you've played this on 2, you can pump something up +2/+2. And turns out that this card works incredible with Ouroboros, because Ouroboros then gets 2 counters and then adds everything +1 onto the rest of the team. So I've seen Bristly Bill be playing in standard alongside of this card. There is I believe it's Mikey and Leo, which is a 2-mana hybrid, green, or white, or some combination of the two. Whenever a counter goes on the thing, it draws a card. So traditionally, the +1/+1 counter standard decks have no card advantage. It's like, okay, you play out all of your gas. Hopefully you win the game because you're drawing 1 card a turn. No, like this just lets you keep refilling the hand after you've played your gas, and it's really nice. And yeah, we get to play it alongside of Halana and Elena, which is in Foundations, by the way. So it's still standard legal, so we got to do that kind of fun stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the last time we had a counter deck that was actually making at least some attempt, at least that I saw on the ladder, was when we had that vampire from I think it was from March of the Machine that had basically this same effect on it. Yeah, the name's escaping me right now, but was it Bloodthirsty Conqueror? Is that the one? No, I don't think so. Nope, that's I'm completely off. Anyway, it's that different vampire, but there was a vampire that whenever you put a counter on it drew you a card. And it's very similar.
Yes.
Yeah, you know the one I'm talking about. Yeah. And I remember that was one of those where it was basically, when that first came out, it was, holy cow, like, white aggro decks with +1/+1 counters can actually draw cards. What's the world coming to? And now in Commander, we now have 2 of them, and this could even be in your command zone as a 2-drop. I've seen that in Brawl actually as well, and it plays pretty well. It's card good. And Donnie, to your point, talk about a backwards compatible design. Like any +1/+1 counter deck can take advantage of this, and it's actually any counter, for goodness sake. Like if you reanimate something with a finality counter, this thing triggers. Like it's kind of nuts. Yeah. So a lot of cool options. Yeah, and just very powerful in general. Yeah. And
speaking of powerful cards, believe it or not, both. You could try to play this in standard, but it's making waves in other formats. Literally, the card Skateboard. It's an uncommon, and it just simply because it's uncommon and it's 1 mana. This card is doing some things. It's being seen played in some affinity lists in Modern. Mostly because of the 1 mana idea. Plus, you get to tap a permanent, so you get to like tap one of your opponent's things, and it's an easy, fast equip cost to give your thing +1/+0 in haste. So folks are playing this alongside of Krang,
Yeah.
also from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm talking about the 8 mana Krang. It's 6 and 2 blue. That has affinity for artifacts. When this enters, you get to draw till you have of the 4 cards in your hand, and then it's cranial plating on a stick. It's +1/+0 for each artifact you control. So you want to play skateboards, you have an easy and efficient way to give it +1/+0 in haste to swing in 1 turn. You know, you're talking about a Modern, much powerful format, right? Mox Opal, Mox Amber, like very fast.
Yeah, we're
but
talking
people are
turn
starting
2
to
for
play
that, but yeah.
card in Commander too. Like there's the conversation around, is this card as good as like Lightning Greaves, for example, which costs 0 to equip, but is 1 less cost. So it's interesting.
That's
very
wild to
interesting
me
design.
that people are drawing that comparison. And I feel very vindicated. I was actually I in the early access event. I played I was a content creator in the early access event, so I played an Is It at Artifact aggro deck. We all did, and I had like 2 copies of Skateboard in there, and I had a couple of turns where like Krang drew me the Skateboard, tapped down the 1 blocker through the and it's like, this is gross. Like it's really good when it lines up. Yeah, it's pretty nasty. So I'm not surprised to hear that that it's making waves, because anything this efficient, if you can do the thing for 2 mana, even split over 2 turns, like, yeah, it's just good. And Tezzeret can tutor it up too, just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Oh, your
Jen
Trinket
and Donnie,
Mages.
what do you think about this card for Commander?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on board, especially because you can drop it and you can tap your opponent's Maze of Ith. Or you could, I mean, it's resource denial. There's potential resource denial. You can tap, their only blocker. You can tap their biggest blocker, and it lends itself to other synergies. Like, say you play this, you tap something, and then you have something else that stuns it. Like you could stack those effects, and at 1 mana, plus it gives +1 in haste.
Yeah, the haste is what gets me.
There's no downside to this card, like, at all.
No.
Right.
I agree. I could see you playing that.
It's interesting because I more compare this card to Lava Spur Boots, which is from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. It gives it's same mana cost, 1 mana, gives a creature +1/+0, haste, and ward 1. It's also only 1 to equip. Like, I see a lot of people playing this in Commander, and it had seen some standard play when it first came out, but it doesn't do the tapping of something when it enters the battlefield. So, it's nice to give your creature haste, but I think Skateboard does a better job in eliminating potential blockers.
Yeah.
I mean, and really, like in a Voltron deck where you're trying to equip your commander with all your swords, I mean, they're cheap, they're easy, and you're going to get benefits. Yeah. I mean, for the mana investment, I don't think you can go wrong with those at all.
Yeah, I've thought Lava Spur Boots was kind of underrated this whole time, and you're right, it still sees some play, but yeah, I think Skateboard is appropriately rated at considerably higher at this point, which good stuff. Beautiful. So on the topic of Commander, I kind of want to turn it over to the Filthy Casuals. What are the cards that you guys want to talk about as far as the ones you're excited to play with, or ones you have played with that you found are working pretty well? Like, oh, Jen, I see a twinkle in your eye there. What's on your mind? I saw a specific thing come to mind. What you got?
I don't know. I've been really into the red cards that came out with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Excellent.
What is it? There's a bat. Wingnut?
Wingnut, yep.
The uncommon.
There's some really fun things in there. I run an artisan deck, and so I think Turtles gave us a lot of really fun commons and uncommons. Like what we talked about earlier, Raphael, right? Like when a creature comes into play and it's gonna do a point of damage, and I added all of those into my deck. I was super excited for that. There were a lot of fun things. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love that.
Big fan of red in this.
Beautiful. So there's the Alliance angle, which also I'm shocked that this is the first time, unless there's something I'm forgetting, but I believe this is the first time we've seen Alliance as a keyword since New Capenna. Unless there are some standouts that I may be forgetting, but as far as like set themes go, which blows my mind because Enter the Battlefield triggers are so evergreen that if a set ever comes out without Enter the Battlefield triggers, I think we'd all be confused. Like that would just, it would be like flying isn't present. Like, what is this? What? It's just a core piece of the game. But Alliance is just do this thing when another creature enters. Like, it's just, oh, it's not me this time. It's somebody else. Like, that's also such a simple concept. And like, we see it so much. I'm kind of surprised that keyword's not, but we see more landfall than Alliance, which I don't know.
We also had Alliance with Lord of the Rings in one of those scene boxes.
Oh, we did? Okay.
Right.
Yep,
Gotcha.
they did one card. Yep.
One card. Okay. I'm surprised we don't see more of it.
A lot.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a great mechanic. And especially like in this set, when we were drafting, I was looking at mechanics and alliance. Those two mechanics go together so well in this set and outside of the set. Like I've already taken 8 cards from Turtles and put them in my Brutaclad deck to test it in Is It Fun with Robots?
Ooh, okay.
Because of the robots. Like it's just more robot support, more artifact support for everything that Brutaclad's trying to do. But yeah, no, there's so many things that I want to take from Turtles and put into other decks. Like Darian's getting upgrades, Alinda's getting upgrades. I'm seriously thinking about rebuilding a mono red deck and doing all of the impact tremors effects and either free or really cheap creep. Like I want to
build it Boros.
I want to build kobolds again. Like I'm going to build kobolds. I have them all. I might as well play with them. And if I can get 2 or 3 different impact tremors effects plus damage doublers and triplers, like I can play 5 creatures and take out a board. You know,
That sounds awesome.
So
yeah.
And so that's just like, I don't normally get the brewing bug like a lot of players do, but TMNT just like set me off. Like I'm constantly coming up with different ideas, things I want to modify, and then like there's a CEDH deck running around that's it's Selesnya and it runs Frigid, and it's just creatures and mana. That's all it does. It's just creatures and mana. But the way it plays, it really appeals to like everything that I want to do, especially in that format. I don't play a lot of CEDH, but when I saw this brew, I was like, that looks like a lot of fun.
I'm with you on that.
He's just obsessed. He's obsessed with Guy's Cradle. That's all it is.
I mean, more mana's always better. Like
That's right.
You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
Especially when you got ways to untap them and then tap them again and make more mana.
Yeah. Umbral Mantle is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Did you untap the creatures?
Gross. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
That does a lot. I also love Umbral Mantle from Old School Shadowmoor, the untap symbol. I love how like when this was just an uncommon that was meant to be like kind of a little bit of an overly expensive thing, but the moment you add an untap symbol on anything, it just breaks in half. And there's a reason we haven't seen them go back to that well, man. Woo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, I it's insane. I had hoped that in Lorwyn Eclipse we were going to get like a couple cards that did this, because it's like, okay, if you were going to pay homage to original Lorwyn Shadowmoor block, this was very clear and apparent from there, and nothing. Not even in the commander decks.
Right.
And I was like, oh, can't even give them like one card.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Here.
Umbral Mantle, for listeners who aren't familiar, is a 3-mana artifact. Equipped creature has 3 and an untap. This creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and it equips for 0. So, like, the gimmick is you attack with a creature, and then you pay 3 and then untap it. So it gives, like, pseudo-vigilance and a little bit of a stat buff for 3 mana. Okay. Like, not bad by any means. Like, you know, in draft, I wouldn't mind grabbing one of these. But it's fine. But the keen-eyed among you would notice that any kind of mana dork that can tap for at least 3 mana just then untaps and becomes infinitely large. And so if you have a creature that can tap for mana equal to its power, this just scales like crazy. Or if you just have anything that can produce 4 mana, you just have infinite mana all of a sudden, just easy peasy.
Yep.
Yeah, so kind of silly. It's very, and Pilla is another one of those cards. The moment you have the untap on it, like the ability to create infinite engines. Like how much? So if they did do an homage to the untap mechanic, I feel like it would almost inevitably have to have you can only activate this once per turn on it. Like I don't think you could make it fair without adding that. And then the moment you add that, is it even fun?
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing. That's the whole point right there. As soon as you put a limiter on that, it's like, okay, what's the point anymore? We're moving on.
Yeah, that's why all these equip 0. That's the reason why when Nadu was running rampant, nobody was talking about leather armor. Like it's it's a 0-drop equipment. It's like, but it equips for 0, but you can only activate once per turn. It's like, well, all right, and then what's the point? It's
Right.
yeah.
Unless you can like repeatedly make copy. If you can make infinite copies of it, that would be
infinite
cool.
copies, or like blink it as part of a loop. Reset that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But
yeah, there are ways.
Sure.
But but anyway, so yeah, the untap, that's delightful. And so yeah, so even CEDH, I love that. I love the fact that you're actually feeling the desire to keep brewing. And funnily enough, you mentioned you mentioned multiple decks there. You mentioned like mono red enter pings, and then you also mentioned Brutaclad robots. And there's one card in TMNT that goes in both of those decks in Ravenous Robots. Like, this is one of those cards that the moment I looked at this, I know my brain clicked into a bunch of different ways. It's a robot. It's a 2/1 for 2. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you make a 1/1 robot. And then you can pay a red tap, and creature tokens you control gain haste. So it's just the amount of angles that you can take this. And of course, if you immediately thought of just spamming a bunch of cheap artifacts or doing affinity stuff with it, like, yeah, you're not alone, we all did. And it is good. If you ever wondered why they reprinted Pyroclasm into standard, it's like, well, because they gave us stuff like this, and we kind of need it, otherwise it's going to get out of hand. So
you got that, and you got another like Song of Totentants. That's a really, really good one that just gives you a bunch of 1/1s. Especially if you can get a bunch of mana together. I really like Ravenous Robots as a right of replication target, because like if I make 5 copies and then I drop an Ornithopter, then I just get 5 more of them.
Woof.
It's little things like that. And there's cards like that all over inside Turtles. Like, they're just, they fit into so many different synergies that I'm kind of surprised that there hasn't been any major value cards in the set that aren't like 8-bit foils. Everything else is just kind of meh, and that's great for players. Like, if you want to pick up cards, TMNT is definitely the set to do it in. That's
interesting.
I think a large part, just to speak about like the 8-bit cards, they did them all for the commander, like certain cards from the commander deck, right? Are what are the 8-bits. And they didn't make them with like any of the standard cards that may be playable, right? So I think even like Super Shredder, for example, has like the Japan Showcase version, but it doesn't have an 8-bit. There's a different Shredder that has the 8-bit one, which is, I think, the 5-mana one from the commander deck. I'm not 100% on that, but I think
Shredder
it's
Shadow Monster.
Yes. Which, don't get me wrong, it does look really sweet, but like, hey, I know your standard Andes that like would want to play this 8-bit version like in their standard deck, and it might make it more valuable that way, right? Not saying that the cards aren't valuable to open them up out of collector packs, but typically when you are making cards like that are also competitive format playable cards outside of just commander, your value retains a lot more. And I noticed that they didn't do that with that bonus sheet. Granted, the 8-bit cards, I love that border personally. I think it's all great. I ended up getting one of them. I got an April O'Neil Live on the Scene one, which is one of the partner commanders, but now I like have to get another partner commander to actually make a deck with them, right? To make that's it. Yes, April O'Neil Live on the Scene. It's 2 mana. It says whenever a mutant, ninja, or turtle you control enters, you investigate. So like it's very clear that you have to play this alongside of one of the turtles that also has partner. But then it means now I need to find a cool version.
Which one of those
turtles, right?
Well,
Yep.
And I gotta say, I actually really like the character select, partners. That's another thing. I like that they're doing
Me
partners, but they're
too.
limiting the pool that they can lock on with. It's a
Yeah.
really healthy and lovely marriage of partner and partner with. So instead of just being locked to one other partner, you now have a choice, but it's limited. So you can't just throw it with Thrasios and just call it a day.
Right.
Which
Yep.
yeah, which I think is lovely. I think it actually works really nicely, and it leads to cool experimentation and customization without getting out of hand. Yeah, and the mutagens specifically, in my opinion, are really clean for that. Like all of the different character select partners all like create tokens or care about tokens or interact with them in some way, so that you have a lot of options on how you want to build them. There's even another, like the Donatello is mono blue. You could literally make a mono blue deck with April and Doni if you wanted, which sure, why not? Yeah. And I get a kick out of that. I think that's just, really fun idea. So there's a lot of cool options. Yeah, and again, the 8-bits are all beautiful. Another thing I love about the 8-bit treatment is not only is their artwork very much like from a splash screen in like an old school arcade cabinet, which is clearly what they were going for. And even the the color slash in the background makes it, I can see this like sprite sliding in, pausing for a second with like a little like float while that is in the background. Some like really dramatic music playing. It's just perfect. I love it.
Flashes onto the screen and then the graphic goes behind it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then like the flashing white lights with no warning because it's back in the 80s and 90s. So like, yeah, absolutely. The other thing that I love about him, though, is that in each of the artwork is not only like the full art of the character, but they also have this like little tiny, like very like out of this tiny little sprite version that you could absolutely see popping up in like a dialogue window with those characters, just like off to the side. It's just such a random little detail, but it feels really well observed. Like whoever, we have the full size version, then we have the playable version. This is the playable character.
All of these cards are definitely like 100% an homage to gaming.
Oh yeah,
like absolutely.
Yeah, the nostalgia angle, they definitely hit that on the head. And so it's funny, these cards being in collector boosters, it's interesting because on the one hand, they are the collectible variant. So these are this is the whale bait in the set, which okay, sure. And Carlo, to your point, if they had chosen the standard legal cards, then a number of consumers who would want to get their hands on this would want to get 4 copies of them, which would quadruple the demand immediately, presumably, right? Or like practically. Yep. So the fact that they didn't do that is interesting, but at the same time, one detail that I think is worth noting, and this is kind of looping back to the standard conversation, is the price of standard decks these days. It's getting out of hand. And honestly, when you mentioned the one Spotlight series only having 600 people register, I think a part of it is the cost of the decks, so like that's a big part of it. So are we bummed that they're using non-standard whale bait? I don't hate that, but I don't know. I guess I have mixed feelings on it.
I mean, just to put it in perspective, so like the Boros Dragons deck that I played in Richmond, right? So just brought up my Moxfield profile because Moxfield does an amazing job from like pricing out how much your cards cost, especially if you pick the right version. And my Boros Dragon deck, according to Moxfield, which is taking data from Card Kingdom, TCG Player, and Mana Pool, shows that it's worth $680, right?
And this is not a particularly popular deck.
No, it's not, right? So keep that in mind, right? So this is like what would probably be considered a tier 2 standard deck that I took, right? Now, interestingly enough, fellow MagicJank teammate DeFore, who came in the top 4 of the last Arena Championships, fantastic, with Is It Prowess, is a deck largely made up of uncommons and commons. That standard deck is still worth $500, right? You're talking about like your rares and mythics being like crazy money, right? Like including like Shocklands. So like you all thought that the price of Shocklands were going to come down in regards to Lorwyn Eclipse. And if you remember listening to us talk about this on a previous podcast episode, we're like, yeah, for the first 2 weeks, they'll be down $5. And then after those 2 weeks, they just go back to normal price because people stop opening the booster pack, right? So like those are cards that are just like never going to change in price. But believe it or not, with how unpopular Spider-Man was, some of the cards like Multiversal Passage still is like a $20 to $23 rare land. Even though we have shock lands that we got the last set in Lorwyn Eclipse, those cards are still worth money, you know? So even unpopularity of a set doesn't dictate whether or not the cards are all worth something, but it's because of that that, like you said, there are some standard decks you can play that are easy $1,000 to buy. Obviously more rares mythics in your deck, the more powerful the deck is, the more expensive the deck is going to be to purchase or to hop into the format with. Yeah, to your point, if they had made, Super Shredder the 8-bit one, and people were actually playing with Super Shredder in standard, some decks are, some decks aren't, right? That 8-bit card that just for commander players may have been, let's say, $80, might be $150 8-bit card that somebody can pull out of a $35, $40 booster pack if stores aren't gouging, but you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah that would be right. Well, and Super Shredder I think is an interesting one, because this mythic, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the more expensive cards in the set, that isn't associated with any kind of like showcase, and it's going for around, I believe, $30 at the moment. Yeah, so that's no joke. If you want a play set of that, that's $120 for 4 cards of your deck.
Card's price tag isn't necessarily because of standard. This card is being played in Legacy alongside of Kaido, Bane of Nightmares, believe it or not. So Mythic from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is making an impact in an older format, and that's why the price tag is fairly higher.
Yeah,
it's a very strong card, but it's seen relatively no play in standard right now. I kind of equate that to Bristly Bill. Bristly Bill wasn't seen play in standard, and that card is like $40 because of Commander. Right. So like Outlaws of Thunder Junction has a bunch of like very good gems in it. So Bristly Bill, I'll remember like 2 weeks ago, right before Richmond, people were playing a smaller version of the mono green landfall deck, which is probably the top of the scale, and it jumped from like a $40 to a $60 card for like 2 weeks because people couldn't find this card anywhere. So I thought that was pretty funny. Not funny for people's wallets, but just funny in general.
But in general,
hey, now this commander card is seeing standard play, so it's got to be higher in price now, right?
Right. Yeah, that's gnarly. Oof. Honestly, I'm curious. What do you guys think? So the 3-year standard, so they've changed the standard rotation to make sure that people can play more in paper. But now we're looking at having to spend like a minimum of $500 if you want something competitive. What could they do to bring this price down? I have a theory on ultimately one of the main challenges, because I don't think rotation was the problem. Like I don't think it ever really was. Because decks go in and out of relevance on a month-by-month basis all the time anyway. So I think it's an issue of there being too many mythics. Too many of the competitive cards are at the mythic rarity, and there just aren't enough of them in circulation to satisfy demand.
But I think that's intentional. I think that's intentional, because that's how else are you going to sell more product? Because like now that more and more LGSs are going out of business, there isn't as much of an available card pool like aftermarket. Not as many shops are cracking a case and filling their display cases with it. Like if people aren't bringing it into the store and selling it or trading it to the store, they don't have it, and they're not going to have it. Because there's no money in it for them. It used to be you crack a case, you sell like a third of the product, and you double your money, and then you can get another case, and then you can keep doing it. But the aftermarket economy just isn't there anymore. So it's really just become a seller's market, and with collector's edition, I mean, 12 packs is $250 to $400. I mean, and those ideally,
I will buy every collector box you can sell me at the $250 mark.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Absolutely. If I can find them for $250, I'm going to buy them. But if it's $325 or $350 or $375, I'm out. I'm not interested.
Right.
And to your point, Donnie, I really started to see this shift during the pandemic. I don't know if you all remember, like seeing on like platforms like TikTok and Instagram, One, remember Pokemon like shot through the roof during the pandemic? People were
Oh
just
yeah.
buying up Pokemon, and people
Yeah.
were watching content that was literally people ripping packs all the time. And then Whatnot became popular, where people would be able to sell cards on that platform and get it shipped to them, etc. Right? Like that became huge during the pandemic. We're talking 2020. So
Yep.
after things returned to a lot of in-person events, 2022, Magic product, like for as much as I don't want to go on a soapbox here, but as much as like
Oh no,
people,
this is your soapbox. Take it.
This
Like,
is
yeah.
this is the place
as
for
much
that.
as much as of the fact that people hate that like Magic's coming out with set after set after set after set and it's so quickly, people are buying and buying and buying and buying, right? The buying isn't slowing down. So to Donnie's point on like stores can't keep stock, it's because people are buying all of the sealed product. The stores don't have like extra allocation to hold back and open anymore, right? And
No,
because people
it's
are
true.
buying the sealed product and opening it, they're just holding on to it. And since Universes Beyond has been a thing where you don't want to get rid of your cards because these non-Magic IP things are much more collectible in the sphere where those IPs are popular, you don't know if the card when I open it, let's say I open up this, and this is before Final Fantasy collector packs were $100 or more per pack, right? When I opened up a $40 Final Fantasy collector booster and I opened up a Y'shtola that was worth $1,000 at the time, do I sell this card to make a quick buck, or do I keep it in my binder forever and hope that this Y'shtola in 5 years becomes worth a $5,000 card? Right? Because of people who just collect Final Fantasy things. And I think that's true for every single Universes Beyond product, whether or not it's popular in the Magic sphere, right? Think about it for a moment. When they came out with the secret layer, for the Marvel secret layers, and remember like the scalpers going on the secret layer website and buying like 10x of them and them selling out very quickly? I don't see many people playing with those cards because the collectors have them all. So whether or not Marvel is popular in Magic doesn't matter because the collectability of all of the sets, including Magic IP sets, is just so high right now. And that's what's driving up the cost of the cards. To your point, Ham, about like the standard decks being so much value, right? That it's hard to get into the format. I remember playing standard when it was just 2 years or whatever. I remember when Baneslayer Angel, everybody was like complaining because Baneslayer Angel was a $50 card in standard at the time, and it was one of the top played cards in the standard format a long time ago, folks.
Oh, take me back. Yep. Anyway,
and when rotation happened, my Baneslayer dropped from $50 to $5. And you never got value back from that. Never in the competitive Magic sphere, it was like kind of known if you were getting the competitive Magic, you should not expect to get any value back on the cards that you played. We're talking before like the popularity of Commander, that is, right? Where now I can keep my cards and it's played later, right? Or whether or not my standard card was also then modern playable when it rotated, then it kept some value. But yeah,
I have a topic, or I have something to add to that. Back when I was in high school, first getting into the game, I opened a copy of Troll Ascetic. And I knew, and that card at the time was like, I want to say a $15, $20 card. Like it was a hot ticket. And I was like, sick. We got there, everybody. And I had no aspirations of doing anything competitive with it, but I just knew, oh, this was a money card. And I know how investments work. You sit on them, right? Fun fact, we're now 20 years, more than 20 years later, I still have that copy of Troll Ascetic, and it's worth about 50 cents now because nobody cares.
Yep.
Because of exactly what you're talking about.
Yep. If you got anything sitting in your binder or sitting in your bulk that's hot right now and you can sell it, you should.
You need to be aware of why is it hot? Like where is the drive coming? Where's the desire coming from? So I would argue something like
I see a binder.
Yeah.
I have this binder right here. Okay?
Let's go.
These are cards that will always stay in this binder. They're never coming out. I'm never playing with them. I have no plans of selling them or anything.
What do we have?
But the first page is all Final Fantasy Surge foils.
Yeah,
Let's
That's
go.
fair.
They're all staying here for the
Uh-huh.
rest of
Yeah.
my life. They are staying in this binder.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah. Those go in your
the
will,
set
man.
is
Those are,
just
that's not.
so collectible,
Mhm.
right? Like all of these, what was this? The Fallout stuff?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
staying
yeah.
there. I'm never
Yeah.
playing with these cards.
All
Right?
all that
Because
special,
I
all
know
that
that the
special edition
fandom for
stuff.
some of these IPs is just so high that
Mhm.
you know, it's true. You can benefit from selling the cards now. If I want to make a quick $500, $600, I could take this Y'shtola and hand it to somebody
If
and
you-
say,
if
"Here
you
you
have
go.
to.
You will
Mhm.
you'll enjoy doing that."
Mhm.
Right? But like the fact that being someone who's never been able to collect like Power 9 when that was like originally a thing and the
Yes.
cards were affordable is like always in the back of my mind.
Yeah, this is another wave of that. Yeah, that's that level
Exactly.
of collectability.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh
It
man.
definitely,
Well,
it definitely feels that way for sure.
yeah, and I think Magic has become so much more than Magic, because what we're talking about is it becoming the vehicle for official trading cards that are being recognized by the population at large for all of these properties. You know, like those are. I know that Final Fantasy had a TCG, but let's be honest, like those don't have the same recognition and cachet as
No.
the Magic cards that are Final Fantasy. I mean, that is the official rollout of Final Fantasy trading cards. And we know trading cards have all kinds of value regardless of whether or not they're
Yes.
whether they're
Sure.
worth anything.
Yeah, whether
know,
they're
like, if
playable
you have
or
a-
not. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure the Babe rookie, or Babe Ruth rookie card wasn't particularly good in standard in its day, but it's still,
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
why else do you think they come out with all of these different borders of cards and stuff that are exclusive to collector boosters? They know that it might not be for everybody. It's never going to be everybody's cup of tea. That's why I tell people all the time, don't yuck somebody's yum. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean that there's a population that doesn't, right? Or that, you know what I mean? And so like,
Absolutely.
I personally love all the Japan Showcase cards that they end up coming out with, right? They know people chase dumb like fractured foil cards, right? Is this going to be worth
we'll stop to
anything in
love.
standard? Is this card Leonardo cutting edge standard playable right now? No. But does somebody who loves Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles wants a sweet special foily version of their card that they're going to play in their commander deck? Probably yes, right? There has to be some type of perceived value that somebody gets out of a booster pack, or people wouldn't buy them at all, right?
Right.
And as much as like folks on the internet love to, I get this comment all the time. It's just so funny to me. Anytime I put like a pack opening video out there, somebody like always comments, "I hope you enjoyed gambling." Yeah, I do. That's why I open a booster pack. You know what I mean? I don't know if that comment is meant to make me like feel bad or whatever, but I don't tell you how to spend your money. Like if you want to proxy all of your cards, proxy all of your cards. At the end of the day, it is a game that we play, and I wouldn't buy cards if I didn't already have the assumption that I'm possibly going to lose the value of the money I put into it, right?
Yep.
I don't think many people get into this game assuming that you're going to make money off of it, because let me tell you, many of the local game stores will tell you we don't sell Magic because we know we're going to make money on it, right? It's like getting the people in the room to play the games, to you might go to your store to sit down and play Commander. Are you going to buy products from your store every time? Probably not, right? I do, because I feel an obligation to support my LGS, but not everybody, right? They're hoping when you go in and you buy a candy bar for $2, your store is probably making more money on that they buy at wholesale than they are off a sealed box of Magic product that you buy.
Absolutely.
If you think that the product the purchase price on us, the consumer, is too much for you to purchase, imagine how much money your LGS is spending to get that product for you to purchase, right? So like, I don't know, I'm just throwing numbers out there, but when we did Avatar, right? Let's say, depending upon the distributor that your LGS might have, your LGS might have been selling Avatar for like $160, $180 for a play booster box, but it costs them $150 to buy it. They got to pay staff. The lights got to be on. They got all of these daily expenses. Your LGS is not making $1 off of that sealed product. What they're hoping that you do, and this is back to Donnie's point, is that you open cards and then they can buy back some of those cards from you because you think you're going to make value on it. So that way they have stock in the store to sell to the standard players. And so commander players who refuse to buy the sealed product purchase the singles to be able to put in their new deck, right? And they are making considerably more money on that, the singles trade, than they are anything else. And a lot of them are buying the cards for more than half of whatever TCG player price is, just so they have stock in the store. I think it was Jaffer yesterday that was just telling me, hey, I found an LGS that's paying 60% on cards and cash and 70% in credit. And I'm like, yeah, because do they have stock of standard cards in their store? And they go, no. Well, sure, they're going to pay higher. So they have the stock that is there to be able to sell to, so the community has cards, right? That's the only way that that's going to happen.
Wow.
Wow.
That's actually, that's reminding me a lot of movie theaters, believe it or not. Like because if I'm not mistaken, like ticket prices, all of that goes back to the studio. None of that stays in house, and they make all their money off the snacks, like literally. And and that whole and that's a business model that has existed and continues to exist for decades. I mean, actually, no, are we on a century at this point? Like it's just a regular thing that we do all the time. So it's interesting that the margins are so razor thin at LGSs that they're in a similar situation. Buy the candy bar. I know they won't yell at you if you bring it in from outside, but buy it there. Just do it. Yeah,
anyway. Or buy a bottle of water, or
exactly.
Buy some dice. Buy a deck box. Buy a playmat. Buy that stuff. Because they're actually making money when you buy that product from them.
Yeah. It's so funny when I walk into my LGS now. When I walk into my LGS, because I do the pre-release streams live from the LGS, right? So I walk in, by the way, and I'm like, start me a tab. Like you're walking into the bar or whatever. Like just start me a tab, and I'm gonna pay you by the time I leave here today. I don't know what I want, but I'm probably gonna grab multiple things.
We used to do the same thing. You walk in, and just, hey, here's my credit card. We'll settle up when we leave, and invariably it's a bag of chips and it's a soda and it's this or that, or but unfortunately, like, there's fewer and fewer LGSs around nowadays, and I miss that experience. I really do, because I don't think we have any place within like 30 miles where we could even go to a pre-release.
Oof.
We got to go into Seattle or Bellevue or something like that. And I miss that. I miss that a lot.
The little stores.
It's so funny because you say that, and my immediate thought is, oh man, that must really stink. And then I realized I'm in the exact same position. But I live in such a small town that, like, the fact that I have to drive a half an hour to get to a place to do a thing, that's just every day for me. So I don't think anything of it. But anyway, it does stink, because I feel like that used to be ubiquitous. I feel like every town had their game shop or comic shop, where
at least one, if not
at least
two.
one.
Like,
yeah. Come to think of it, I mean, back when I was in high school picking Magic up for the first time, like I remember going to a tournament in the next town over, and that shop closed a long time ago. Definitely a shame.
The shop that I first started shopping at went out of business a couple years after we started buying cards, and then I met another guy, and he owned the shop, and like I worked for him part-time during a couple summers, and then he sold out, and that place closed, and then I think we found another place, but it was like 20 minutes to get there, and we had to take like 3 buses, and so we only went there a few times. And then, like, most recently, the place that we were going pre-COVID burned down. Like, there was a fire downtown, and they never recovered. And I think they just reopened, right? They
reopened.
Yeah, they just reopened, but it's a much smaller space. They don't have pre-release events because they don't have the space for it. It's just a little brick and mortar shop now.
Well, we had another place we went to, but they completely changed kind of what they did, because it wasn't prior to COVID, right? Or after COVID, it just wasn't doing the same. Magic wasn't doing the same for them, and they switched it up, and they were primarily D&D after that.
D&D and war games.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. It was a lot of that afterwards.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I realized kind of what the show has become today, and I think well, it's become a series of tangents, but I'm realizing, Carlo, your comment about not wanting to stand on a soapbox, and I realized, no, we're all taking turns on a soapbox, and so we're just this has become just kind of a timeshare soapbox episode, and I'm here for it. So I'm curious, actually. We've been here for over an hour now. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. I appreciate it. We can go for another hour as far as I'm concerned. But
Yeah.
I do want to kind of go around the horn. Is there anything else that we want to that you guys have on the top of your mind as it relates to either the cost of the game, the way that the game has changed over time, or back to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? And anything, just open forum. Just throwing it out there. Anybody? Anything?
I mean, I could sit and talk about this stuff for hours. Like
I feel it.
Pricing is definitely a thing, and I think it's starting to affect a wider player base. The coolest thing I want to bring up, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Commander decks, have not, or the deck has not gone crazy value-wise. Yet, there is extremely good cards in that box.
Really good.
Like, very, very good. Playable. Like, there's a ton of stuff in that box. And the fact that the price hasn't gone crazy, I'm really kind of happy. I'm really kind of happy with that. Like lately, the last few sets, we don't get, like we were talking earlier, we don't get the time to digest a set anymore.
Right.
Like by the time we have even built one or two decks from whatever set just came out, we're already looking at previews and everything for the next set. So like the relevancy of what we were just looking at, it's not there anymore. And a lot of people, and you can call us boomers or whatever you want, but a lot of us are really starting to talk about how much we miss blocks.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any reason why we can't go back, even if it was just one block a year, right? Just give us one block a year, and you could even mix it up. It could be.
I feel like they had a reason why they stopped doing blocks, though, right? Didn't Wizards talk about why they stopped? Wasn't it an issue for them in standard or something?
I think it has something to do with standard.
Right?
They said that the blocks, because the way they were designed, where you had big set, small set, big set. They said always, no matter what, the small set was unpopular, which is interesting because we've had multiple UB products that are small sets now that also have been unpopular for whatever reason. But so that issue hasn't been resolved. And it's also interesting to me that the smaller sets, at least Spider-Man, was originally designed to be a Beyond booster, so 7-card booster pack small set, when they knew that small sets were unpopular when in block formats. So like, why do that anyway?
They do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why do that again?
So if you're willing to do it for those types of and to my understanding, not for nothing, to my understanding, the reason they did it for the UB products is because of discussion on those sets being small sets. Like wanting to be small sets from the IPs, the folks who own or represent those IPs. So like kind of understand that. But from a standard perspective, I mean, we're talking about, I started playing Magic in 8th edition, so the first block that I experienced was Mirrodin block, like OG Mirrodin block, Mirrodin, Darksteel, and then 5th Dawn. And let me tell you about the amount of cards that were banned in the format, because they went all wild. So imagine like 14-year-old Carlo at my LGS, and I've got all these cards, and now they're banned. I can't even play with them. RIP my parents' money, because I didn't have the money to buy them cards. But it's so interesting that they don't do them anymore, because like Lorwyn Eclipsed, most certainly they could have made enough content to create at least 2 sets out of that one set, like just explore something a little bit more.
I agree.
Not saying that I necessarily wanted a separate like Lorwyn and then Shadowmoor set. I loved thematically what they did with Lorwyn Eclipsed, but I think we could have gotten way more out of that. Where obviously these are things that can't happen with the UB sets unless what they are doing with Marvel is 5
gradual
Marvel sets in standard over the next so many years, right?
Yeah. Well, and we've seen we've seen some like mini blocks. You know, they've done the 2-set blocks like Innistrad, Midnight Hunt, and Crimson Vow. And like
They
Ravnica
did.
Allegiance and the
Mhm.
Guilds of or City of Guilds, whichever, or no, Guilds of Ravnica, I believe was the most recent.
Yep.
But yeah, like we've seen those, and I feel like a 2-set block with 2 sizable sets is like the sweet spot. Like it feels so good. Like why don't we do more of those? Yeah. I don't know.
I agree.
Because they're not as interested in the story as they used to be, right?
It's probably part of it.
Think about it. You know, now that they've got their release schedules, what we're seeing new cards every 7 weeks, 8 weeks, or whatever it is. And that's not even like I'm not even talking about preview season. I'm saying like physical cards we're seeing every almost 2 months. So on the back end, like they can't support the story and everything else for just the sheer amount of product that's coming out. And they've known that this was going to happen because this stuff's been in development for 5 or 6 years. Like this isn't, they knew it was going to be a problem and just decided not to do anything about it. So, I mean, that's kind of I don't know. I'm never going to stop playing Magic. I'm probably never going to stop buying it unless I absolutely have to. Because I love the game and I love everything about it. But it's getting harder to be as big of a fan as I used to be. You know?
Yeah, that's fair. And I don't think you're alone in that. I know when it comes to a lot of elements of the game, I used to eat, breathe, and sleep this game. You know, it was kind of all consuming, and I've definitely had to kind of throttle it back a little bit. Just, you know, burnout's real. It is what it is, and just needing to take breaks every now and then is valuable just because the deluge is nonstop. But if you do need to take a break, just anybody out there, it'll be here when you get back. You know, like it's okay.
Magic's not going anywhere.
No.
Seriously.
And there's going to be plenty of fun stuff to discover. So, yeah.
I think one of the
stuff.
greatest things, like we got out of the hobby for about 10 years. Like we stepped out. And what was the last set we bought? What was it, Nemesis or
Invasion?
Invasion.
And then we took a break.
Invasion is the last set we bought.
We literally got out of Magic for a little while.
Exactly. And then one of the coolest things for us was when we got back in all of the stuff that we've missed.
I was so excited about dinosaurs when we got back into Magic.
Like Ixalan came out and Jen's telling me about like dinosaurs and vampires and I'm like, what are you talking about?
I was so excited.
And the game has changed.
Awesome.
Like the game has changed so much, not just because of Universes Beyond, but I mean, we've been to space now. In universe. We've been to space. That is not something that was on my bingo card for Magic the Gathering. Ever. Like that, I never expected that to ever happen. But now that we broke that barrier, I'm really excited about Reality Fracture. I think a lot of stuff's going to get mixed up. I think at some point, R&D just said, you know what? We're going to take a handful of these elements and we're just going to put them in a bottle cup and we're going to shake that fucker up, pour it out, and see what happens. And I'm really excited about the new stuff coming out.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Reality Fracture is one of those where with Edge of Eternity, when they first announced it, I got to be honest, I really couldn't care less, but I loved that set. It was fantastic. And so, I'm with you on that. Now, like if Reality Fracture, if they're going to do it similar to that, I'm in, let's go. So, very cool.
I hope we get to learn more about the Fomori. Let's like,
Ooh.
I want to, I need that. I need that. Just inject it right into my veins, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can see that they're like setting up for some of that stuff just from like previews that you've seen. And I like that they are setting up for that stuff, you know, like the Lorwyn Eclipse storyline was following around the students from Strixhaven. So like they are legitimately trying to incorporate the lore, whether it be present or future, in whatever current in-universe set that you're getting. And so given that you will experience Reality Fracture, like, you know, there was questions, what is it, the Gorgon Tam? Where is Tam from? Why is Tam a green and blue hybrid creature? That doesn't make any sense in terms of Gorgon type line anywhere, right? And why are these students in Lorwyn? Why did they leave Arcavios and then go to this other plane? what's happening in the Magic story. Why is it that we saw a picture of a very clearly Silver Quill Rouse Eric,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Why is my Izzet Guildmaster decked out in black and white as a teacher on Strixhaven when he was most certainly was just an otter on Bloomborough the last time we saw him. So,
Literally.
and they set up for this storyline in Tarkir when Narset and Elsbeth found an omen path to the meditation realm, seeing no Bolas there, but Jace and Lute. And we understand that Jace is sort of like this new big bad now, which is in itself a reality fracture, right? We take the person from the Gatewatch who now is the big bad. So I'm excited from like the lore perspective because there's all of these unanswered questions that hopefully doesn't end up like the War of the Spark story and actually answers all of the questions.
Here's hoping.
You know,
Yeah.
Fingers crossed,
one
right?
of those folks when I read the War of the Spark story, I was like, man, if they ever wanted to do like a reset on the Magic multiverse like they did years ago, this would be the moment. And they didn't do it, and they continued the storyline after War of the Spark. So maybe this is like their next opportunity to do that, but to change some things up, which might be a telltale sign of some things for Magic's design philosophy changing with the story, with the lore, right? If you can change a bunch of things outside of your traditional color pie by introducing a set that breaks barriers, then can you do that regularly? Right.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think that's where we're going to be at.
Yeah.
Mono white Liliana. That's all I'm going to say. Mono white Liliana. That's
Well,
tells us everything we need to know.
Planner Chaos has done that in the past. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff where we saw characters like Krovax, who was mono black, all of a sudden get a mono white version. It's like, wait, what? Like there's some precedent for it, and I don't hate that idea. I think that could be really interesting. And also, how do they mechanically represent that character in this other color? That could be interesting. So yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely.
yeah,
I'm excited.
I'm down.
For it.
And since you mentioned planar chaos, I mean that takes me back to the days of Future Sight where we had a different border on our Magic cards and people were freaking out then. I want to show them many cards now, remember Tarmogoyf in the future frame and everybody was freaking out because your mana symbols now were like sort of on a wheel of things as opposed to your normal section where the mana symbols are. And people were like, oh my god, I do not want my Magic cards to look like this. Brr, 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 brr. And I want to show them some sewer art cards from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and say, what do you think of this?
Or the Lisa Frank secret lair. Like you want to get upset about something. Here, look at this. Or look at there's so many new examples that I'm right there with you. Absolutely.
It reminds me, it's so interesting. Again, not to go on a soapbox, but even back then, during Time Spiral Block, I could remember going to the LGS and people who were playing then Elder Dragon Highlander were most certainly buying like proxied versions of their cards in non-Magic IPs to play with them as their generals. I remember playing against like Storm, Maloku the Clouded Mirror, right? And I'm like, and people are really, not for nothing, but people are actually like complaining about this now when they like bought proxies out the wazoo back then.
Right.
Like,
a lot of altar artists got a lot of business back in the day doing stuff like that. Absolutely.
Exactly. Tons of, how many events did I used to go to, like Star City Games, 5Ks, where they had a bunch of artists who were there, and you would just drop off your commissions and say, hey, can you turn my general into this character from Mario or something like this, and just like you would get them to paint those characters over top of your card, right? I remember, and it's the same thing to me. Like we had complaints about this back in the day, but like this is what we're doing now. Anyway, off my soapbox.
It's wild. Well, I love that Wizards saw that and genuinely was like, wait a minute, there's a huge market for this. What if we just make them official? And it's like, yeah, it turns out you're right. That'll work.
This is popular. There are a subset of folks who are asking for this. Granted, there are subsets of folks who don't want this at all. Totally valid. I respect your opinion.
Absolutely.
But this is the reality of where we are now. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And really, like, if you're a fan of anything and you can find some way to tie it into your Magic deck, people are going to do it. I've got a Foamy the Squirrel token that I had somebody paint for me. Because I'm a fan of Foamy the Squirrel. I love I have a squirrel deck, and I saw that there was this altar artist, and I was like, oh my god. So I found a Portals squirrel token, and I sent it to him, and he painted it, and like Foamy's right there flipping you off.
Perfect.
I had not known who Foamy the Squirrel was before this, but I most certainly have just looked it up, and I understand what you're talking about.
I remember the old school like Flash animation internet days in the early 2000s. Yeah, neurotically yours. Yes, I'm very familiar with
Ill Will
Foamy.
Press. Yeah, Ill Will Press.
Yes.
Absolutely. Classics.
Oh my goodness. Classic
right
stuff. Some of those old school rants, A+. Just
Yep, absolutely. And they're still going. Like, he's still making content.
Yeah,
so
which blows my mind. Yeah.
Like, it's been over like 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was making content.
Yeah, that I did have a moment on YouTube not too long ago where I was scrolling and my algorithm was like, by the way, did you want to see this? And I was like, hold up. Like, also, how did you know? Apparently I was looking through a bunch of very nostalgic internet stuff, and they're like, I have a feeling. How about this one? And it's like, wait, from 2 weeks ago? Hold up. What? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty cool. So
absolutely
good stuff. That was a soapbox I wasn't expecting. But yeah. Awesome. All right. Very good. Well, I always adore this show because I never know where we're gonna end up. So thanks for going on a journey with me, guys. Were any other final thoughts as it relates to anything we've talked about today before we phone it in? I don't know if you guys can hear it. I'm dog sitting a very anxious dog, and he knows it's dinner time, so I ought to go take care of that. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't want to cut anybody off if there's more. But yeah,
I did not plan a question of the day.
Oh, that's right.
And we haven't done that in a while. But
true.
Since we did plan to talk about TMNT today, what is your favorite legendary from any of the TMNT products, whether that be the standard or non, that you are like, I need to build a commander deck around this general?
Ooh.
Jen, you go first.
That is a big question.
It is.
That is a big question.
Take your time.
Okay.
I mean, so Wingnut was one of the ones I really liked, and it's an uncommon, but I have this thing for uncommon commanders too. So to me, I think Wingnut's really fun, but it's that alliance thing again,
Right.
Jen, I want to piggyback on that a little bit because one of my favorites, the first legend that really caught my attention was also an uncommon in Karai, Future of the Foot. So yeah, which is
good.
Yeah, it's a really fun card, and it's basically the strictly worse Dark Leo and Shredder. Like if you want to do Orzhov Ninjas, that's the correct commander, but Karai's the one I want to do because she reanimates stuff, and I think that's neat.
Yeah.
So so cards that like ETB and Mill or ETB and like Surveil that also can tee up, ninjutsu. It's ninjutsu and reanimator on one card. I freaking adore this thing. I think it's very fun. Not particularly good, but exactly the playstyle I want. So yeah.
Right.
Donnie and I did a little limited where we opened up some turtles and we played, and sure enough, I absolutely went black, white, sneak, and it was great. It was so much fun.
Whooped my ass.
Yeah, believe it.
It was great.
I believe that archetype's really strong.
It was impressive.
I had the best time. Dream Beavers is a super fun card. I love that card.
It's excellent.
Yeah, rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat with that thing. If you can find a way to like infinitely blink it or something stupid, please do, because your opponents will just look at you and like shake their heads.
Yeah. Dream Beavers, Nurturing Pixie, that whole thing. Yeah, get it. Get after it.
So good.
Yep, absolutely.
Love it. So Donnie, any turtles or turtle adjacent legendaries?
So like my first instinct is actually it's a common, and that's Raphael Tough Turtle.
Okay.
Because it is an impact tremors on the stick.
Oh yeah.
And then
Yeah, we talked a lot about that one
you follow that up with Slash Reptile Rampager, which is another, except it does 2 damage to each opponent, and whenever it attacks, it creates a creature.
Right.
So you're getting double duty from both of them, and then they both have the alliance mechanic. So you sprinkle a little bit of that in there, but at the end of the day, I'm super excited about Bebop and Rocksteady, the partners.
Oh,
I'm super excited about Bebop and Rocksteady partners. I mean, Golgari is just kind of my jam. It has been for a long time, and the fact that the one benefits the other, and then oh man, there's so much synergy between those two. I'm really excited to build just Golgari Menace go wide.
I love it.
I'm super excited to do that.
Yeah, the synergies on these two are pretty great. And there's even a common version of Bebop and Rocksteady in the main set that also synergize with these commanders. It's actually really cool. Yeah.
And it's almost like the deck builds itself. You don't have to work real hard. There's all of that's right there, and the play patterns aren't super complicated. It's just going to be a fun, casual, like just doing dumb Golgari stuff, and like at the end of the day, that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Beautiful. All right. And Carlo, what's your I have a theory that I know where you're going, but
I mean, I don't think it's any like secret that it's definitely Raph and Mikey troublemakers.
No way.
I immediately built a deck on Arena for Brawl with this. I am the play 7 mana commander, try to put something into play for free type of guy. And what I found, actually, I haven't finished the deck and paper yet, mainly because I haven't come across a foil version of the sewer art, which is what I want. So once I get that, the deck will be finished. It almost is like a powered down Itali Primal Conqueror to me, because it costs the same mana and only gets you a card for free, like only something off the top of your deck tapped and attacking. So I can play like a lowered powered Gruul, like granted Itali is in the deck 100%. But,
of course he is.
But the fact that I can play a hasty turtle for 7 mana from my command zone and multiple times if you keep killing it, I think just gets like some cool synergies in play that you don't have to be like this sweaty CDH Itali player, but I could just play sweet Gruul value creatures. You can of course play a bunch of Eldrazi if you really want and don't care about the Annihilator triggers. That's lame. I just want to play big dinosaur Mutant Ninja Turtle things. So
there you go. Yep.
Yeah.
We will be doing this.
I've actually built 2 Brawl decks with this already. This card is very fun. Yes. Yeah. You can do the silly all-in combo version where you only have like 1 or 2 creatures and you're guaranteed to hit them, or you can have a ton of just... It rewards you for playing like cards that in most other decks would be too expensive. It's great.
Right.
Yeah. It's very fun.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Seconded. Yep. Good stuff. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for joining. Jen, Donnie, Carlo, always a pleasure. Let's do this again sometime. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and also moving forward, I'm going to be more diligent about getting these out weekly. I feel like I've said that before in the past. I mean it this time, I swear. I don't have a problem. You have a problem. What are you talking about? But yes, so moving forward, I'm hoping that we will have a more consistent posting schedule, hopefully getting them up on Fridays moving forward. I know that's not when this is posted, but that is the plan moving forward. So hopefully, and if I'm unsuccessful, blow me up in the comments and everything. hamhawks42@gmail.com. You can even directly email me and give me a hard time if you want.
Ooh,
I'm also available on Discord, all the places. Pop up into my live stream, or follow us on all the social medias and feel free to blow me up there and leave comments in past videos and
yes,
like and subscribe.
please do.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
All the things.
Yep.
all the things. Do all the things.
And make sure
awesome.
you click the notification bell if you're listening to this on YouTube. So you get
Yes.
notifications.
Also, beautiful.
Absolutely.
I always forget that one. Yes. Awesome. And with that, dear listeners, thank you so much for tuning in as well. Thank you for being with us on this crazy journey, and we will catch you on the next one. Later.